We all know people who seem to have what it takes to make it in their careers. We see their potential, yet somehow they end up failing when put to the test. This situation appears in work situations, especially with probationary employees who fail performance evaluations.
So take this question from Angela R. Hi, Angela. And she asks us, attorney, if a probationary employee needs more training or evaluation, can management extend the probationary period? What needs to be done to do this? If second chances are important to you, stay tuned as we give you tips on how this works. This episode is brought to you by How to Draft a Probationary Contract, an online workshop that teaches owners, managers, and supervisors how to create the most important contract during recruitment. This course covers the main components of the contract as well as tips and best practices to make your life as a recruiting officer easier. Draft your next probationary contract in minutes. Go to info.legalguide.ph/probationary to learn more. Welcome to Legal Guide Philippines, where we simplify the law to help you make better choices. I'm Attorney Ramon Ramirez, and I'm with my partner,
Attorney Erwin Zagala.
Okay, so today we're talking about giving one more chance.
Uy, Attorney Ramon, parang pelikula.
Pelikula yun, attorney. Naalala mo ba yun?
Oh, si John Lloyd.
Yeah, John Lloyd, and of course, Bea.
Bea.
Hi,
Hi,
Bea. Okay, so Attorney Erwin, how does this apply to probationary employees?
Okay, so let's start with what the law says. And of course, since probationary employees ang pinag-uusapan, let's start off with our favorite law book, the Labor Code of the Philippines. Article 296 states, probationary employment shall not exceed 6 months from the date the employee started working.
Okay.
So, may 6 months ka na trial period for the employee. Di ba? Testingin mo, kaya ba yung trabaho? Can they perform the responsibilities and duties which are attached to their job description, di ba? Ngayon, pag bumagsak, ito yung magandang tanong. Pag bumagsak, that means hindi qualified. Correct? They
After the 6 months?
No, even within the 6 months,
Okay.
di ba?
Okay.
Lumalabas na they aren't fit for the work.
Okay.
Di ba? So, pwede mo siyang tanggalin as a result of failure to qualify with standards. However, ito ngayon may mga situations wherein you see something in the employee.
Okay.
A diamond in the rough.
No. Yeah.
Oo. May potential yung employee. So you want to give them another chance. Kaya lang, yun nga sa 6-month period, bagsak. And this reminds me of a story. Would you like to hear this?
Yes, attorney.
Okay, so there was once a utility worker who was working for a company. So 6 months, tinesting. Eh, nung medyo malapit na sa 6 months, nakita dun sa mga performance review, bagsak. However, the management saw, may potential tong batang to.
Okay.
Masipag naman.
Okay.
Gusto namin yung attitude. Mukhang konti na lang kayang tumawid into
Parang konting training pa maybe or more
possibly, di ba?
experience. Okay.
Oo.
Yeah.
So what they did, nag-usap sila. Employee, actually bagsak ka na. But we're willing to give you one more chance.
One more
Okay
chance.
ka ba? Oo, okay ka ba? So they came to an agreement. Sige boss, willing ako dyan. So in-extend by 3 more months yung probationary employment. Nagkapirmahan. So tinesting ulit, tinraining.
Okay.
Ito ngayon masakit.
Ano nangyari?
At the end of the 3rd month pa na extension, bagsak na naman.
Bagsak pa rin.
Bagsak pa rin. So eventually natanggal tong employee na to.
Because bagsak. Attorney.
Bagsak.
Okay.
Now, ang medyo twist dito, nagkaso si employee.
Nagkaso?
Oo.
Bumagsak na siya, nagkaso pa rin siya.
Oo, ang legal theory niya, lumagpas tayo ng 6 months. Regular na ako Nung tinanggal niyo ako, regular na ako. So that is illegal.
Parang binaliktad niya pa yung client, yung employer niya.
Oo, parang magandang loob na yung employer, pero at the end, parang ginamit pa against
Okay, so that's the argument.
employer.
Okay.
I hope you're familiar with that.
Yes, Attorney Erwin. That reminds me of a case called Mariwasa Manufacturing versus Leogardo.
Believe naman ako sa memory mo.
Yes.
Naalala mo pa from law school yan?
Yes, and the researchers also.
Okay, so in the case of Mariwasa Manufacturing versus Leogardo, that's what happened. And I want to point out 2 things which came from the case. Point number 1 is, when the probationary employment is extended in order to give the employee a chance to improve and further his prospect to demonstrate his fitness for regular employment, that is considered an exception to the 6-month trial period. So kung sakaling, let me simplify it further ha,
Okay.
kung in-extend yung probationary period para pagbigyan ng one more chance yung empleyado to prove themselves, that is allowed as an exception.
Okay.
Okay? May mga requirements lang such as nag-usap talaga and then pumayag din si employee. So that's point number 1. Yung twist naman, that involves point number 2 that I want to make. Kasi in this case, sabi ni ni worker, "Hoy, nag-extend ka. So dapat pasok na ako after the extension."
After yung 6 months. Okay.
Sabi naman ng Supreme Court about that argument is an act of liberality on the part of his employer affording him a second chance to make good after having initially failed to prove his worth as an employee. Such an act cannot now unjustly be turned against the employer's account to compel it to keep on its payroll. Wait for this, Attorney Ramon, napakasakit. One who could not perform according to its work standards. Diba? So, Supreme
Right.
Court said, hindi talaga kaya eh. Ngayon, babaliktarin mo, nagpakabait na nga yung employer sa'yo and then gagamitin mo bigla. Employer cannot be compelled to keep someone who could not perform according to its work standards.
Tama naman, Attorney Erwin.
Tingin ko.
That's fair.
That
Thank you,
makes sense.
Supreme Court. Thank you.
So, if you want to dig further, I would advise reading that case in its original. Ang dami na matututunan dyan. But those are the two things that I wanted to highlight from that case. Now, you might be asking, Attorney, we kind of find ourselves in that situation. Do you have any tips for implementing that para safe
Oo
kami?
nga, Attorney. What are your tips?
Okay, you guys are in luck. Ito, isa-isahin na natin. Hihimayin natin, ha?
Excited.
Okay, so first tip is be aware of the timing. Okay? Kung mag-i-extend man kayo ng probationary period, huwag yung tapos na, tipong bukas. Nandun na sa dulo ng 6 months.
Right.
Or even worse, tapos na yung 6 months. Tapos, ay, ano pa
Extend
tayo?
tayo?
Extend tayo? No, don't do that.
That's bad.
If magkakaroon man ng extension, it has to be in the middle of the probationary period. Kasi in this way, kita-kita from the records na you were analyzing, you were evaluating, and then nakita nyo na may pagkukulang nga.
But you want to give one more chance. So before matapos yung 6 months, you should already have decided on the extension.
The earlier, the better for me. Kasi kapag medyo sinagad mo sa dulo, baka mapagkamalan pa, even if it's not your intention, na nagpapalusot ka na lang.
Yeah.
Diba?
Okay.
Okay, so first is timing. Second is, do you have evaluations?
Okay.
Kasi sinasabi mo, di ba, na nag-fail to qualify. How do you prove that?
So should there be an exam?
Could be.
Okay.
There can be evaluations, there can be coaching and counseling, memorandums, whatever you do in your company. Ang important lang, the failure to qualify is documented properly. Kasi para pag tinanong ka, paano mo nasabi na hindi to papasa as regular, may pwede kayo ipakita. And you may also be asking, Attorney, how many dapat yan? Isa, dalawa? Sagot ko dyan, the more the merrier. Kasi the more you document the failures, the more stronger your position becomes.
The more the merrier, guys. Okay? The more the merrier.
Okay. So, this leads me to point number 3,
okay,
which is, hawak mo na yung mga resulta, discuss it with the employee. Mr. or Miss Employee, hi, halika dito, usap tayo. Actually, kung titignan mo itong mga evaluations, lumalabas, bagsak ka. Actually, pwede ka nang tanggalin for failure to qualify. So, pakinggan mo yung employee kung anong gustong sabihin, di ba? But the important thing is, pinapaalam mo. Now, may part 2 yan.
Okay, what's part 2?
Na yan. Okay? Inform mo siya that despite this, the management is seeing something in you. And as a result, the management is willing to give you one more chance. Oo. Pero only if you are willing to take that chance. Oo.
Parang may quotation ka dyan, Attorney Erwin.
Maganda siguro ipaloob natin para madaling matandaan.
Yes.
Let's call this the Bea Doctrine.
Bea Doctrine.
Oo. So parang this is the management telling the employee that we had you at your worst, but we want you at your best. So don't break our heart. Yeah. Bea Doctrine. Okay?
Remember that.
Kung makalimutan nyo ba yan, ewan ko na lang. Okay, so wait for the employee's answer. Okay, and if they are willing, here's the next step. Here's something that you will, well, not hear from everyone, pero ito best practice na to. Ask the employee to give you a request.
What do you mean?
Sa kanya manggaling yung kusa.
The one more chance.
Yes.
So basically,
Mr. Employee, do you want to take the chance? Yes, sir. Sige, sulat ka ng request. I would like to request the management to give me one more chance and extend my probationary employment. Signed, employee. Bakit importante? What
Bakit?
is the logic there? Para ma-document natin that the employee is actually cooperating and is giving their consent to this one. Now, once you have this request, ang gagawin mo ngayon, gagawa ng agreement. Parang memo or contract. Okay, management and employee agree to extend the probationary period upon the request of the employee. Signed, management, signed, employee. Now, legally speaking, what does that tell you? Ano yung nangyayari doon? Hindi ka na pwede ngayon na balikan ng employee na sabihin, ay, pinilit lang po ako na mag-extend. Actually, nagpapalusot sila eh. Regular na dapat ako eh. No, the documents themselves will be able to prove na nag-usap and then nag-agree. The agreement kasi is very crucial if you read the case. There.
And I think what I love about your advice, attorney, is it's really heavy on documentation.
Yep.
Diba? Kasi as we learned in our practice, even when we were still law students, no, na if it's just verbal, it's very hard to prove.
Pag binaliktad ka na sa dulo, wala kang kalaban-laban.
Yes. So having the documents on hand is really a great advice.
Yeah. And I think this is a reasonable requirement. Madali lang man eh. Okay, so does it end after the document is made and signed? No. Continue monitoring. Remember, may 3 months. Well, hindi naman 3 months, di ba?
It doesn't have to be 3 months.
It doesn't have to be 3 months kung ilan yung extension nyo. Pero for me, wag na rin sumobra. Baka naman banatan nyo ng another 6 months. Medyo ibang usapan na yun. Ako na mismo yung magtatanong, how long do you really need to evaluate the fitness of an employee? Baka nga naman na nagpapalusot ka na by then.
Yeah.
Diba? Na ayaw mong gawing regular. That's bad.
Don't
do
abuse.
That. Yes.
Don't abuse, please.
So for me, a reasonable extension would be 1-2 months. 3 months siguro is kind of cutting it. Okay?
Talaga. Too long na yun.
Opinion ko lang yan. That's not in any policy or rule book. But given the circumstances lang, continue monitoring within that period. And kung sakaling pumasa, di welcome to regular employment. Kung sakaling hindi talaga, then don't feel bad kasi pinagbigyan na naman.
I think that's good. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you, Attorney Erwin. So let's just recap some of the stuff that Attorney Erwin talked about. So, what is the default probationary period? It is 6 months.
Yeah.
That's correct. Okay. And the next thing is what's the exception? Of course, the exception is our one more chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can extend the 6 months provided we are giving the employee one more chance.
Yes.
Okay. And third, Attorney Erwin discussed the steps or the tips in giving one more chance. No? So there are several steps, Attorney Erwin.
Including the BEA Doctrine.
Yeah, including the BEA Doctrine. So sana natandaan nyo yun. Now, if you need our help in drafting a probationary contract, our course, How to Draft a Probationary Contract, will be a big help for you. And just go to info.legalguide.ph/probationary for more information. Next, we'd like to know what's your biggest takeaway from today's video. So please write it down in the comments and let's talk about it. Lastly, if you feel that we've earned a good rating, please give us a like and subscribe because it gives us the feedback that we need and it tells us that we're doing a good job and it encourages us to do more videos.
One last thing. I believe that we have a moral obligation to see potential in people and give them a chance to prove themselves. If you see the potential in people, take a chance. Who knows? Once they succeed in proving themselves, you may be getting a loyalty member for life. So was it that simple? Now go make better choices.